This conference will now be recorded.
You're
Wonderful,
good to go.
thank you. Okay, so we've called this meeting to order, and is there a conflict of interest that anyone would like to bring forward before we begin? So I'll start with a motion to approve the minutes. And so, thank you, John. Anyone second that?
Yeah, second that.
Andrew and John again. Okay, all in favor? Is everybody?
Perfect.
Did I do that right the first time, Mark? There we
Carrie?
go.
Yeah, but you missed the approval of the agenda.
Oh, that's next. I thought I had to do minutes first
Okay,
and the agenda next. So we'll do the
that's fine.
agenda next, yes. Motion to approve the agenda then. So, oh, see Ralph, thank you, and Amina, thank you very much. And all in favor? Wonderful. I don't see anybody against, so that's wonderful. Thank you very much. All have approved. So unfinished business is what we have on the agenda. Let me go to the agenda. I'm actually at the minutes right now. So the flag raising policy we have first. Has everybody had an opportunity to go through it?
Maybe we just have maybe just have comments or questions.
Sorry, Ralph, say that again. My internet's very choppy this evening.
Well, I was suggesting that we've probably all read it. We should just you might want to know if there's any comments or questions or recommendations that people have.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I heard. Thank you, Ralph. Sorry, it's been like that all day for me. I'm not sure why, and I'm sure with this windstorm about to start, it's just going to get worse as the meeting goes through. So did anyone have any questions or feedback for the document? It was well written. Thank you very much for that hard work. It was great.
I
think that Mark did a good job of tidying it up.
have a question or comment. The flag raising, it has exclusions. It excludes certain groups such as religious groups. It doesn't actually say what we would accept in terms of applications for flag raising. And I'm wondering if that's okay. In other words, it's everything except for the exclusions at the moment. Any thoughts on that?
But it's my understanding that all applications have to be approved anyway. So are you saying, Ralph, you feel we should have a list of items that would be considered?
No, I'm not sure. I'm just bringing it up because usually when you have a policy for something, you specify what it's for, and we really haven't outlined what applications might be accepted, except by inference from those that won't be accepted. Do you follow me? I'm not against the way it is. I'm just bringing this up to
No,
see
it's a
if
good
there's any.
point, for sure. For sure. What does everybody
Mark,
think?
do you have any thoughts on that, Mark?
You're muted, Mark.
So used to not turning my mic off. It does say, it gives you the parameters of what we're not going to accept. And I think if John or I received a request that we didn't think was appropriate, we'd be bringing it to council. I think if you start you're probably going to find the other way, that if you try to start grouping as to what kind of requests you will accept, you may find yourself getting into difficulty as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this leaves it open to individual judgment of yourself and John. I'm quite happy with that. I just wanted to make it, bring that to the surface.
I think if we got a one that was kind of pushing the boundaries or we weren't sure about, I think, I can't speak for John, but I think we'd probably bring it to council. That's why we're asking for the requests, at least 6 weeks in advance so that we do have time to bring those requests to council.
I see John has a question. Both Johns,
No,
I
I
think.
think,
have their-
no, I think Mark has already covered that on, as he mentioned in there. It says those requests not meeting the parameters of this policy, it should be made at least 6 weeks in advance of the council meeting, under the impression that they'll go before council for approval. I don't know if that needs any clearer than that or not, Mark.
I was fine with it as it sat, but
Right.
Well, I'm actually fine with it too, Mark. I just wanted to point out that we didn't say what were acceptable. It's just, and I'm okay with that. I just wanted to raise the conversation.
And John, you had something to add as well?
Oh, I'm good with it. Mark, just out of curiosity, we have a flag lowering policy, do we not, as well?
That's
which may
correct.
not be a purview of this committee, but maybe it might make some sense to combine the two and simply say flag policy.
Just one policy, you're saying, instead of two separate ones.
Yeah.
That would make sense, actually, to have both together as one. Would it mean modifying the lowering? I wouldn't think there'd be any difference. It would be the same, right?
Yeah. So this, what this committee is going to need to do is, once you're happy with it the way it sits, is recommend the flag raising policy to council for approval,
Right.
as a recommendation of advice from this committee to council. And then you should then also, in the same recommendation, recommend that the policies be combined. And then when it goes to council on the 25th, if that's what committee's looking for, we can bring that to council as a combined or as a separate entity. I'd have to just review the flag lowering policy to make sure there's not a conflict there, just in terms of process and how we've worked it. So, but
Right.
It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Well, I just personally, I don't have any problem with it that it doesn't actually state specifics as to what would be approved. So I'm fine with the way it's written as well. I think it's a good point, Ralph, for consideration. But so unless anybody else has any concerns, Amina, did you have something?
No, I am fine actually with what's written on the. I'm just reviewing it and it looked fine to me.
Okay. So Mark, does it make sense then? Did I put a motion forward then? A motion to recommend bringing the flag raising policy to council?
Yep, I was just trying to write one out, but you're pretty much bang on, and that the policies be combined.
And yeah, so motion forward that will bring the flag raising policy to council and combine that with the flag lowering policy to become one document.
Correct. So, and then you'd be
Anyone
looking for a mover in a second.
Yeah, a mover on that. Anyone? Andrew, and a seconder?
Okay.
John, all in favor? And Mina? Yeah, everyone's in favor.
Okay.
All in favor.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen it. All the hands kind of got raised on separate occasions.
Just before we continue, I'm wondering.
So Christine, that was carried.
Sorry, say it again. It was carried forward. Sorry, my apologies.
That's
Carried
okay.
forward. Yeah. I hope everybody had an opportunity to do the survey that we spent so much time on. How long do we think it will be before we get the results? And do we know if there was a good turnout?
Yep. I'm sorry, just taking a note here. So I talked to Andrew today. So the survey closed on Monday. That was the day that it was closed. Now he's left it open. The survey was actually very poorly subscribed to or filled out. There was only 26 surveys filled out. So that and as Andrew would tell you, to be statistically relevant, you need about 390, I think, or 380. That's what he said. So you've got 26. I haven't looked at what any of them said. I just asked him what the numbers were. So he's left it up. As with the fireworks bylaw survey before it, there were a few stragglers that came in by mail. So he's also going to receive those. So at this point in time, that's what I know from Andrew as of noon today.
Now it's not open anymore though, right? Because I wanted to show it to someone and it was closed. But it was after the deadline. They haven't left it open any longer.
I'm pretty confident that Andrew would have left it open on the website as well.
I don't think so, Mark. A couple days ago, I looked with my husband and it was closed.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Andrew.
I don't know if that really matters, because if that few people filled out, it's highly unlikely after the deadline we're going to get enough people signed up to make it relevant anyway. That's very disappointing, actually. But especially if all of us did it, because that really makes only 26 people not particularly relevant then at all, really.
We kind of expected it, though. Surveys are not well received.
Well, but the fireworks one got over 400.
Wow.
Personally, I feel it's because many people in this in Mono really don't see diversity as a pressing matter at this time. And it's not important to them. And if it's not important to them, then filling out the survey would not be a priority. It has to be something that you feel personally in order for you to be committed enough to fill out a survey, really. That's my opinion. I may be wrong. Very possible.
Christine?
Yeah.
Can I suggest that if it's closed, that we reopen it and maybe reassess some of the ways we promote it? You know, I know that we've done everything we traditionally do, but maybe do some of those things again, like through the water billing system, and we have an all candidates night coming up next week. I think we have a number of opportunities where we can remind people, and hopefully we can pick up more than just a few stragglers.
Yeah, I mean, any opportunity to get more representation would be great for sure. I mean, it would be maybe this isn't in my position to say, but when I went to that all counselors last one, I would highly suspect that most of the people that are running didn't even do this and aren't even aware of it. And really, when I asked the one question about diversity, the responses were very, you know, we have a diversity site, we have a diversity committee, but I haven't seen any of those counselors at the committee or ever come as a you know, a guest to even come to these meetings. So I think we would need to get the counselors to actually include it in part of their conversation at the next meeting in order to make it relevant to the people that are there. Because the next one's being run by the citizens of Mono, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, it's a loose coalition of individuals. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Be careful of that. Careful in your terminology. I think John's got a good idea here. We can repeat the email blast and repeat the message out through our social media, etc. I don't know what else we can do. We had a nice ad in the paper. It's been on our website. Of course, the website, people go to the website, in my opinion, they go to the website when they're looking for something, and they don't routinely
Yeah.
check it just to see if it's interesting on.
For sure. For sure.
And I just noticed it in our newsletter that just came out. So, and I'm sure a lot of people were probably on holidays in the last month. So,
Yeah, that's possible too, actually, Ralph. I guess with the end of the summer and school starting up and people very busy with other things at the beginning of the semester, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there were a lot of other surveys which were people had an opportunity to deal with, such as the fireworks, etc. But I suspect you're probably right in your initial supposition that people who don't feel discrimination didn't feel there was a need to fill it out, which is, I suspect, the vast majority. But still, there's a lot of people. I think I would have thought that we'd have had a better uptake from many of the people who were in the BIPOC and the other groups that are getting discrimination. So I'd be in favor of opening it up for a discrete time, maybe another 10 days or 2 weeks, and doing another information blast. We do have Twitter, we do have Facebook, we have email blasts. And those are probably the main things. Maybe the water notices as well, which goes to the communities which are fairly racialized, actually.
Mark, when is our next water bill?
I don't know off the top of my head, John. I was just thinking that if it's kind of hard to leave it open, say for 10 days, if the water bills aren't even going out shortly. So I texted last.
I think the water bill. I think the water bill is critical because not to stereotype where our diversity may occur. I think a pitch to our subdivisions in the South End, that's where we could possibly pick up a response. But if this notice is in a water bill along with 5 other things, it's not going to get noticed. So my suggestion would be make it the exclusive message of the next water bill. Keep it open, and I'm certainly prepared to mention it in my very, very brief remarks at the beginning of the next all candidates meeting as well.
I think that would be great. Yeah.
I think that we have to do that. That's the way, as it stands now, it's of really of no relevance. So we need to give it another shot, I think.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great if you could mention it as well
Maybe
next
look up and find out what the water bill is and work around that and have it as a reopening. We don't need to have it open. Well, I guess it can be open right now, but we can decide that we're going to have another approach to inviting people to take part in it at a time which suits our media and the water bill.
I think it's a great idea because I think it's the subdivisions that need to be that really we should be focusing on. If that's where the majority of the residents is in the subdivisions anyway, that are going to be getting the water bills. Okay,
I've texted Les just to see when the next water bills are and whether there are any other flyers already in it. Because then it becomes a matter of wait. I'm not aware of anything going out right now, but.
Okay.
Well, Mark, I think it's important that we confirm that, and we'll have to make a decision as to whether there's, other pieces of information going out in that water bill and what is the priority. And maybe those messages can wait, whereas this one has has a higher priority. You know, you get a water bill with a whole bunch of stuff about pickleball and Halloween and stuff like that, and then a message about our survey. We could easily get lost in a water bill mailing.
Now, I do want to learn how to play pickleball, so I do want to learn that because it looks like tennis, but not running as far. So I also,
You're not old enough.
what's that?
I said you're not old enough yet.
I attended that walk in Shelburne on behalf of this committee as well, the Truth and Reconciliation Walk. And they very kindly actually acknowledged this group as part of their opening remarks, which was great. Very, very kind of them. They didn't have to do that. I think probably because I confirmed my attendance, they just mentioned some of the different regions that were in attendance as well. It was well done. It's a shame, it was very poorly attended. No more than maybe 40 people, maybe. Which is a shame when people go to so much work to organize an event that more residents of Shelburne and the regions weren't there. But it was well done, and they did a walk. It was like a 1.5 kilometer walk with some candles afterwards, and they had some really good speakers as well, which was nice. And they had someone, one of the Indigenous elders, do a speech as well, which was really interesting. So I just wanted to update you that we were represented and we were acknowledged that we were supporting their group as well, which was really good.
Yeah, I'd spoken with Denise the day before, made her aware that you guys were coming. You missed the walkway, Christine. They've painted one of the walkways in town.
Yes,
and orange with the 5 feathers, I guess, on it. It's looks very cool.
Yeah. They talked about how struggling to find orange paint. Actually, it's a bit of a shortage, and I think people. I have the orange T-shirt, but we need to get some like coats or something because man, it was far too cold to be wearing that orange T-shirt on that night. I needed almost a hat and gloves. Actually, it was very chilly that evening. But it was good. I'm glad I went for sure. And just to say that wasn't attended well. I went to one in Toronto on Friday morning, that was run by George Brown College. That also, in my opinion, was very poorly attended. So I think it's quite. We've still got a lot of work to do from a recognition perspective and respect. I think as a culture as a whole. But I think it's a good step that we keep trying to show up to events that are run by these communities to continue to try and learn from them, for sure. Bringing the agenda back here again, sorry. So we're back to short and long-term objectives and plans, actually. And I don't know if we should be keeping these on the minutes because we had a brief conversation at the last agenda. That really we're just looking at short term, but we haven't really started to discuss how this committee will support EDI objectives in the future. So I'm just wondering if anyone had any thoughts on where we think this committee should move forward from here and how we can best support council. Or Mark, if you have any ideas and how you think we could best support, it'd be good to understand that as well. Because I don't want to keep holding meetings if we aren't going to be talking about initiatives and things that we're going to do in the future. If I'm making any sense. And please feel free to interrupt me at any point. You're off.
I made a suggestion before that we should be looking at the various activities of the town as a organizational entity. For example, we should be looking at what are the activities of the recreational department, and do they looking at them through the lens, DEI lens, and see if there's anything that should be improved. And to some extent, we can look at a number of different parts of our town activities. And so I think if there's an agreement with that, we should come up with a suggested list, circulate it, and if if that's approved, then try and get a schedule. It would involve the work of the staff. For example, if recreation, Kim Heaton, who's in charge of recreation, would be asked to come and to outline what she's doing. We give a chance to ask her questions, which may add to the way she's doing things in with respect to discrimination. So I'm suggesting that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I just, and again, this is me learning more about Mono. I didn't realize actually that we have 2 centers. And so when I heard the comment about the town losing money on these centers, how does it work if we were to recommend to council that we wanted to add 10 more events that were specific to EDI? How is that funded? Is that funded by the town, or does each event have to be self-sufficient in its funding in order to bring money to help the community centers be sustainable? How does it work normally?
Well, the community centers are used by the town. For example, recreational department is using the Mono Community Center for Halloween party. There's about 300 kids that are registered. They're using it for wreath making, they're using it for a number of things. And fees are set for these by the recreation department. The other group is non-town supported activities, such as weddings is a classic example. So there's a fee for the use of each of the centers, weekdays, weekends, etc. The point how we would fit into that is I'm not sure in terms of. It depends on what you're advising, trying to advise would take place there. If it's a standalone thing that was outside of the town, that they would be expected that it would generate enough funds that would be able to pay the fee for the center.
Oh, okay. So like, obviously this year would be too late, but if we wanted to do a Diwali festival in one of the centers, the idea would be that residents pay a fee to attend that, and then that fee, or does the center tell us how much we have to pay to use the space to do something like that, and then we have to make sure we generate enough funds to run that event?
Well, if I could jump in, that's a really good example, and I think the question for the committee would be whether or not we want to have consideration for those kind of externally organized events, or whether we want to try and organize them ourselves. And if we have somebody approach us who wants to put on such a festival, do we give them a reduction in the traditional rental rate? The point that was attempted to be made at the all candidates was, and I'm being cautious here in my wording, but why do we have these event centers or halls that, quote, lose money? Well, there's a whole lot of answers there, but one of the reasons we maintain them and promote them is to maintain and promote the notion of community. And we can do that in a number of ways, including maybe reducing, and we often do this, by the way, we often reduce the traditional rental rate when we think that the event is worthwhile. And the all candidates meeting at Menorah was an example of that, actually.
Well, it's yeah. I think I actually thought was it Ralph? Maybe it was your response. I think it was brilliant, because I agree it's not all about money, but it would be great if we were to recommend to council some even like you mentioned, John, a reduction in fees for anything that's related to diversity in the community, or something like that, because I think Diwali Festival, Chinese New Year, some of the bigger ones, it doesn't even have to be just Chinese people at the event. It would be great to do it as an educational opportunity to learn about what is Chinese New Year, and how is it celebrated. And but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the census, we should have access to that, was at the end of this month, I think, right? Or the beginning of November. So we'll have a better understanding of what type of diversity is in Mono compared to 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Uh, that might help drive what kind of events you want to recommend to run in the community centers.
So Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but now we consider a discount on a case-by-case basis, but we haven't actually, apart from, we do have a community rate, do we not?
Yeah, there is a community rate. So it would depend on who was actually putting on the event. If it was this committee was going to be the organizer, let's say, of the event, we would just generally do a kind of an in-out in our budget, so that it's reflected that the building was rented, but that council's agreed that to the rental gratis. I guess the other alternative is to seek a more formal budget for, let's just call it a Diwali day, in next year's budget. And you have a specific budget line and you can work from that. That's another approach that you can use. But there's a lot of ways it's been done in the past. It just depends on how it's going to be brought forward.
Oh, okay. I mean, personally, if we were able to bring something forward, I would actually recommend, instead of a Diwali or Chinese New Year, we maybe consider doing an annual celebrations of the world annual day in Mono, or once a year we hold a celebration that's led by this committee, trying to get other committee members involved, bringing different types of food from all around the world and different music, and it's like a drop-in for the evening. People can come and celebrate different cultures and learn about those cultures, rather than us, because if we say the council recommends doing just Diwali, we know we're going to end up in a situation where we are going to be questioned why we aren't doing all the other holidays around cultures. So to do something that just celebrates, I don't know. And I guess this came up from something that I'm doing at the college at the moment as well, that we're fundraising for something else. And we could do some sort of fundraiser that goes back to some initiatives. That event every year could be run, and then any profits go back to some other initiative from an EDI perspective lens. Now, I do know that putting on events is a lot of work, so I do know what I'm indicating here, if anyone else is interested.
But just to the issue of our rental rate, I think we'd make good progress, the first step, if we were to decide that our community rate should be scrutinized from the standpoint of a diversity kind of event being proposed by an external organization, or indeed ourselves. The community rate is a discount, and I'm just talking off the top of my head here, but maybe we need to go further if it has a DEI component that is desirable. And again, we run the risk of people criticizing us for losing yet more money on our community centers, but I think it's defensible, and I think that we should maybe go in that direction.
Well, couldn't the argument, where would they be arguing about losing more money? Because they probably wouldn't have rented it in the first place at all. So even at a discounted rate, it's still making more money than not renting it at all.
There's the irony, and this is sorry, this is coming from people who think that government should be run like a business, and we shouldn't lose money on anything we do. So, uh, like it's coming from a different philosophical basis to
Right.
what
No, I understand.
how
I
I
understand.
I think we leave that business to one side because it doesn't, in my view, have legs.
Right. Right. Yeah, I just saw it as that must mean there's empty space to do things. So let's propose using the space. That's all, for sure. Because it would be great to be able to offer events for the community to have them come and learn and taste different food from different cultures and hear different music, maybe see different dresses, different styles. It would be an amazing opportunity for, I think, and I think you'd find maybe more than just Mona residents would come to that. I think you'd find people from Orangeville would probably come as well. Maybe we can partner with Orangeville since they're so close to the centers.
I
It,
I
it,
I put on special events for different organizations I belong to, where we have big dinners and things like that, and a lot of people, like we had an egg salad sandwich competition, and you run into all these different liability issues when people are making food in their own kitchens and bringing it to gatherings. And I got insurance for the event through PAR. You can do it online, but still the liability issues of bringing food made in people's kitchens with well water to whatever, raises all kinds of liability issues. So it's a nice idea to do something like that, but the liability issues are really high when it comes to food. So there.
Oh, it's a good
Andrew,
point. Yeah.
you raise an interesting point, and one which gets people quite excited in view of, and pardon me, Ralph, you're on the health board, so I won't go any further. But Christine, can I suggest that we have Kim Heaton from
Yeah, I
the
think that'd
Town
be
of
great.
Recreation
As a guest for the next one, that'd be great. It's a great
in,
suggestion. Yeah, thank you, Ralph, for
and
joining.
and what Kim can identify is, okay, I mean, when we rent our facilities with a discounted amount, whether it be for the blanket community rate or something less than that, we still have certain fixed costs. We still have costs associated with opening up the place, closing the place, cleaning, and so forth. And I think we can't ignore those. If we do, we do it at the peril of the people who are mad at us because we're not making $1 million a year from these facilities. So I think a discussion with her at maybe the next meeting would be worthwhile.
Yeah, that would be great if we could add her, Kim, to the next agenda.
Oh, can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
That we, you give Kim an outline of what you want to hear from her. So she's prepared, and I think what you want to hear from her is what the programs are that she's involved with. In other words, the programs that our town is involved with, and that we'd like her to outline what is how they're run, how they're organized, how they're advertised, etc., and the costs, etc., and to be prepared for us to ask some questions that maybe sound a little bit critical, but we have to ask questions about what's going on so that we understand, so this committee understands what's being done, and that may shed some light that's useful for Kim and the town.
And that's helpful. I can certainly pass that on to Kim. I've just been searching through the rates, but it's all buildings, right? And I think in this case, you'd be looking more you'd want the whole facility, and similar to Mono's Big Day Out is probably a good example, where there's a partnership between the town and other groups to run that. So Kim may be able to help you on that. Did you also want to kind of talk to Kim, I guess, about just issues around DEI
Yeah, it
with
would
the
be good.
recreation department and what they're doing with their programming.
Yeah, I think like Kim should know that every question, every topic she's bringing up, we would like it to be presented from a DEI perspective, because that's the focus of this committee. So as she's talking, it would be helpful if when she's telling us how decisions are made about what kind of events are being run, how is DEI being looked at? And maybe the answer is it's not currently, which is fine. Would be helpful for her to know that's really what we're looking for.
Right, and I would say one of the most diverse programs that we actually run is through our recreation department, and that's the soccer program, which is incredibly, it's always full, and it's incredibly diverse. So, but she could probably take you through that. I'll check on her availability for the next meeting. Can I go back to the water billing? So water bills are ready to go, John. They're going out Monday, stuffed tomorrow and Thursday, or tomorrow and Friday. I don't know how I get anything into them for that, other than something really chintzy, right? It's going to be a photocopy of a 8.5 by 11 sliced up into 4 cutouts stuffed in there. That's about the best I could do in that short time of period.
Well, Mark, 2 questions. Number one, can we delay by a day or two at the expense of delaying the income? And what are we competing with in terms of other items in the water bill?
There's nothing else in there. That's what I mean. It's so getting something done and printed professionally, it's, that's going to push on to a week at least. Right. So what I'm saying is, I mean, we could get a reminder, like a little reminder slip in there, just a reminder to take the DEI survey. We could probably get that out and in the water bill by Friday. But if you're looking at doing something more splashy or dramatic or professional, I think you're kind of into the next round of water billing, and that's not going to be for 2 months.
I don't think it needs to be splashy. I think it needs to be a message that that the DEI survey is being extended and there's an opportunity to complete it. And we can add some phraseology, which is not coming to me right now, which is will maybe stimulate people to be interested. I'm very encouraged that there's nothing else in this.
Good opportunity.
So
What about getting Rogers Television to do something? They would probably do it for free because it's Dufferin County with Dufferin County, and maybe they could we could do a commercial or something at Rogers Cable TV. I could ask Todd Collison, who runs the TV station there in Orangeville, and I'm a volunteer there, so I could ask him if we could get some kind of an advertisement out for our survey for Mono, because it's in Dufferin. If that might help.
I guess if you've got the contact, Andrew, I don't know what the committee feels, but even
sure.
if
I
it's
can give it a try.
even if it's a reminder for people to do the survey, right?
That's right. Yes.
On one of the regular shows.
Right.
That's a good addition to it. I'd be glad to make up a suggested flyer to put in with the water bill, and maybe we can talk to you about it tomorrow, Mark. If I got something to you tomorrow morning, Mark, could you look at that, and then we could together sort of decide what we want to be the final product.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be splashy either, Ralph. Just in page Reminder, do the DEI committee. It's your community, your town, your voice matters. That's it. Here's the link. Nothing flashy. Not even in color. Take the money.
Yeah, a photocopy machine could probably print them all out, enough of them. How many bills do you put out? Like 500 maybe for that area?
Oh, it's gotta be.
1,300?
1,300, eh? That's Island Lake subdivision and the hospital. Is that the hospital subdivision in? No, that's on the other side of the unit.
It's Island Lake,
Island Lake.
Brookfield, Cardinal Woods, Starview, or not
Right.
Starview, Watermark.
Right.
Does that mean the rest of Mono is on well water? The rest of
That's
these almost 9,000?
Yes.
Wow.
About 50%. About 50% on well, 50% on town water.
It's actually probably
Still
closer
remind-
1/3, 2/3, John.
On well?
Oh, sorry.
One third on water and 2/3 on well. Yeah, 'cause
Sorry,
there's about-
my computer died. I had to plug it in.
So Mark, I didn't, I'm trying to ask you if you would take part in this, if I put something to you tomorrow morning. Maybe you've got your whole morning schedule, I don't know.
I got part of my morning schedule, Ralph, but if you put it through to me, I can certainly make sure I can stick handle it with staff.
Okay. I think as Christine says, we need something that's pretty simple. It's presented as an opportunity, and it tells people how to do it. So
Yeah, and I think you're looking at about, you're looking at about 4 lines of text across the page, and then, like we can probably cookie cutter that in.
so you're thinking of a separate piece, separate. This is my dog, I haven't fed yet, and she's upset. So you're thinking of this being a separate sheet of paper that's put in with the water bill, correct?
Yeah, it's going to have to be. So what I'm envisioning, Ralph, is just basically putting 4 of the blurbs on a page of 8.5 by 11, and running whatever 300 copies or 300 copies of that, and then just taking the the paper cutter to it and putting them in the envelopes. I think given the timelines, I think that's our only option.
Okay, so you're looking at something that would we could cut the paper up into three portions for 3 different water bills.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll be glad to work on that.
Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate it. Ralph, I think the next one, remind me, I don't think you were at the last meeting. I think we had forgotten we were left off the agenda off the email. So I think we were meant to talk about the town's website.
I've gotten over that. I think I did say I would do something on the town's website, and I've done nothing. I have been running for council re-election, and then it's consuming me. But my thought was that we should get some idea what we want to put on the website in terms of content, topics, and I'd be glad to give a list of those. My feeling about this is there's a lot of really good information out there that's accessible through the internet, and that a fair bit of what we'd be doing would be providing linkages to topics of various interest. So I don't see us reinventing the wheel with respect to this, but it being a more of a content source.
Okay, well, let me know if I can support with anything to help out.
All right, I'll draft something and I'll send it around to you. I'm making some notes so I don't forget, but I am kind of busy until.
Yes, that's understandable.
I don't know how much I'm going to be able to see after next week. I'm having a bilateral cataract surgery on Thursday.
Goodness. Well, you are busy.
It should be fun.
So the number of people you're running against, is that normal for the town of Mono, or is that high?
No, that's quite high. I don't recall back more than 12 years, but there haven't been that many that I can recall.
Yeah, I thought it was quite high actually as well. I was surprised to see how many people there were.
I think five.
Christine, if I
Five.
could,
Sorry, John.
I was just going to ask Christine if I could ask you a question about the website. My understanding is that Andrew is in the process of coming up with a refresh. Where is he on that? And this would be it's almost an ideal time to integrate our thoughts with
Oh, we're waiting until the election's done, John,
yeah,
because
fair
we got
enough.
to update everything at that time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I'm sure everyone's priorities right now are just getting through that election. Okay.
It's just all the names are going to change. The committee's names are going to change. Everything's right. That'll be the time to go at it.
Right. Well, I'm sure Ralph's name's going to stay, right? You have my vote, Ralph.
Thanks. That's one. Every vote counts. That's my motto. Every vote counts.
Okay, so I'm just going back to the agenda again. And then I know we keep adding this under unfinished business, but I wasn't clear last time if we really wanted to focus on this, and that was setting up a schedule, just so we would be highlighted a little bit more on social media. Or do we not feel as a group that that's something we need to be really worrying about? Mark?
So I had my quarterly call with CCDI last week. And one thing that the CCDI do is they release a monthly letter. Actually, you sign up for it, and they'll send it out to you. And every month, what they do is they highlight what's going on in that month. And it's pretty late when you get it. So when I spoke with Christine at CCDI, they've heard this complaint from several groups. And what they are going to do is they're actually going to be developing in the next month or so a calendar, an annual calendar of tangible events. Tangible is probably not the best word, but events that you should be looking at and dates you should be looking at, and kind of all-inclusive kind of dates so you can pick and choose. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's probably, I think, what this committee's looking for. And then you can kind of work backwards from that in terms of, items you might not think are appropriate. We can go from there.
Okay, so why don't we just move that to the next agenda to follow up and see if you have received that list yet? And if it's out, we can go from there.
Yeah. As soon as I see it, I'll make sure I get it out to the committee.
And sorry, Mark, can I also ask, is there someone on your team that when the oh my gosh, the demographics, the census data is out around demographics, that will review that and be able to get something to present to this committee, just so we can see how the diversity may or may not have changed over the last 4 years?
Yeah, Dave usually provides the census through. We'll usually floats around the office, so we're all aware of it, and we'll get it to the committee.
Okay, so maybe add that to the next agenda as well, too, that we can review that and have a conversation about that if it's ready as well, obviously.
Yep.
Is there anything anyone feels we could be adding to the next agenda? I'm also curious about the committee. Do we have when I'm aboard in other places, usually it's a 3-year or 4-year commitment. So how does it work with this committee? Is it something that we have to apply for every year, or how does it work, Mark?
So council's policy is that a committee stays in place until they're reappointed. And that's usually in the first term of council. It'll be up to council of the day to determine whether they want to go with a 4-year term or a 2-year term or however they want to do it. This year it was all 4 years, or sorry, this term, council set their committees and they've been in place since. So there is one committee, that's the Committee of Adjustment, which is more statutory in nature, and that their appointments are more rigid in that regard because they're under the Planning Act. But other than that, the rest of the committees are all at council's discretion. But the policy states you sit in your place until you're replaced, and so we usually put ads out. Probably this year, January-ish. Usually get them out February-ish.
And sorry, when you say ads, that's for people to apply for different committees within the town?
Yes, yeah, because council will normally have a discussion on what committees they even want to have. That's
okay.
been held in the past as well.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Right.
Christine?
Yeah.
Christine, if I could do an addendum to Mark's comments. I think when we started this committee, the question came up: is it worth having a committee because it's going to only be a part of a year? And the response in conversations was, well, most committees actually people tend to stay on the committee and they reapply for it. So it would be expected that likely the people that are all in this committee here would want to continue on and would continue that. So they would have an investment, and even all of an investment in the committee now, and you'd want to continue on, and I'd expect you would continue on, but you'd need to formally apply. And hopefully we could get some additional people with additional diverse backgrounds.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to the agenda for the next month?
I've got an item.
I was
Unfinished business, actually. I think that somebody was going to approach the other DEI committees for, say, Orangeville, Shelburne, and the county, and see if they'd be happy with us attending their meetings.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, Mark, was that you or I? I know at one point I said I would do it, and then I thought you said you would do it, and then the last meeting I think maybe you said I would do it, right?
I thought you said you would do it. I was under the
Okay.
impression you were doing it.
Yep,
So
I'll do it. I will do it tomorrow morning. It's my fault. Sorry. I went to send an email and I thought, no, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. I will do that, and I will, if I can, should we have someone maybe come and join the next meeting if they're available? I know if we're already gonna have Kim there, is 2 speakers too much?
I think the idea was to go in the other direction, principally for us to
For
learn
us to sit on them, right?
the other committees. And I believe the minutes suggest that when Christine Walker was going to do that.
And I even read that in there, and I thought, no, maybe that's not right, but okay.
But I think that these, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these meetings, or these committees, the meetings of these committees are all open to the public. And so we're open to going there anyway. But I think it would be a courtesy to say that we're interested in having somebody come to observe, to learn from them, and so that they understand that sort of.
Yeah, no, my apologies. I will be sure to send that out this week.
Christine, I'm going to suggest that next meeting we focus on Kim's appearance and the discussion of the recreation department, its programs, and the facilities that it supervises. My sense is that will be a very fulsome discussion.
Yeah.
I agree, John. No, that's a great idea. Okay. And did we want to decide today if we want to hold the December meeting in person, or would everyone still be comfortable holding it online again, or what's everyone's opinions on the December meeting? Obviously, I know online is much more convenient. I do appreciate that.
I think we should do it online. The numbers are going up, so they say, and winter's coming, so there'll be a lot more close contact people and families and things like that. So I think we would probably be best to try another meeting on Zoom or on the go to meetings.
I agree with Andrew on that.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe we'll look at a spring get together instead.
And
I
I'll
think-
inquire with Todd at Rogers Cable TV to see if there's anything we could do. Maybe a few of us could go on and be interviewed on TV there or something. Talk about
That's
what we
the
do.
job for counselors and mono employees.
But I'll just ask Todd what he thinks.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Just one quick item.
Yep.
I know when the committee was struck, the first few meetings were all on the third Wednesday, and somehow we've morphed onto the second Wednesday. And I'm easy either way. I just want to update the website because we do show it as being the third Wednesday. Now, in the minutes, you've got set dates, October 12th, November 9th, and December 14th in there. So that's fine. But if you want to keep going on second Wednesdays, I'll just get Andrew to do a quick change to the website.
Didn't even notice we did that. I'm fine with the second Wednesday. Anybody else have an opinion?
I don't think it matters to me. It is right after council meeting, but I think that's okay. The third Wednesday, I'm going to be away of December.
Yeah, for me, I think I just need to leave it on Wednesdays. My application is in for 2 more committees, and one of them is on Thursdays and one's on Tuesdays now. So I don't. I'd already said Wednesdays were a no-go. So as long as it's on a Wednesday, it doesn't matter which one it is for me.
Me too. Wednesday work better.
Okay, so all in favor of staying on the second Wednesdays of the month?
Okay. I'll get that updated. And just one more thing. I'll be away at next meeting. Mike Dunmore will be attending though.
Fantastic. So I guess I'm carrying a motion to end this meeting. Anyone approve that? Andrew?
Second it. Approve it and second it.
Okay, there you go. All in favor?
Carried. It's
Okay,
6:39.
6:39. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. It was a great meeting. I'm looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to learning more about what the town does. That's great.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Christine.
Thank you. Take care.